Hello everyone, it's Keith from The Rhythm Box. All the way through December in the run up to Christmas, we're going to be giving you our top tips every day about how you can improve your music practice and how you can keep your motivation up whilst there's loads of other things going on around you. So let's have a look at tip number 1. Today's topic is practice, and this is one we get asked all the time. How do I keep my child interested and practicing? And the best piece of advice that I can give you is to attach it to something else, because the week flies by so quickly. There are so many other things going on, other clubs, homework, family things that need to be done. So attach it to something that happens every day, and that way you can make sure that it happens every day. So maybe you always practice whilst mum or dad is making dinner, or maybe you always practice right after dinner, or maybe you always practice just before you watch telly, or just before you pick up that games console. But whatever it is that you do all the time, attach that practice to it. And it doesn't need to be a long time. Even 10 minutes will make a huge difference cumulatively if you keep doing it. Good luck!
Hello, today's tip of the day is for guitar players who are using capos. Always make sure that when you put a capo on, you retune it again, otherwise your guitar's going to be out of tune. Because what's happening is the capo's clamping around the fret, pressing in really hard, and it's making the strings go sharp. So what you've got to do is you've got to readjust each string so that it goes back into tune for that note. So I've already made sure that my strings are in tune. Green line in the middle says yes. So I'm going to put the capo on now, pop it around the 2nd fret. You don't need to go and actually know the names of the notes. You can just rely on the tuner telling you the note, but you just look at the line of the tuner and whether it's going slightly sharp or slightly flat and slightly adjust it. So, capo's on, hit the 6th string. You can see the red line's horribly out of tune. So, slacken off the 6th string tuner, take it back a little bit and you can see we're now green. Same on the 5th string. Again, pressing down really hard, sharpening the note. Need to slacken off a bit. There we go. 4th string, same thing again. Not as bad, but it's still red over green. 3rd string, again that's being pressed down really hard with the clamp on the capo, so you need to slacken off. 2nd string again, red. 1st string, again, it's not too bad, but it's still red over green. So slacken off a little bit more. Now that each string is in tune, whenever I play a chord, it's going to be perfectly in tune because I've adjusted it to compensate for the capo. And that's your tip for the day.
Hi, I'm Ruby and I play the piano at The Rhythm Box. Today I have my grade 2 exam, and my tip would be, if you're feeling nervous, convince yourself that you're excited.
As you can tell, I'm in the middle of organising a school show. So today's tip is that if you need sheet music quickly, like right now, so that you can write some notes, then this is how to do it. So it's really simple. You just type in blank sheet music into your bar, and then if you find blanksheetmusic.net and you'll see that the score is there, and you can change it to be anything that you might need it to be. And you can make it smaller, or you can make it bigger. And you also, if you open this last little menu, have lots of options for different types of music that you might need. So you might put it onto piano or onto lyrics, or you might need it on bass, whatever you need. And then you literally just click print, and that's it.
Hi, my name's Katie. I play piano at the Rhythm Box, and my tip for anyone learning is to just make sure that you really persevere when it comes to practicing and don't give up hope.
Hello, today's tip of the day is for all musicians. If you're playing along with part of a song, obviously you've got to play it slowly and accurately in order for you to get everything in the right place. But in order for you to play along with the track, you have to be able to slow the track down in some way or form so that you can play along with it. Now there's a few ways you can go about this. You could either use an app that will let you slow the track down, but that costs money, or there's actually a function built into YouTube that will actually slow the track down for you so that you can then build up the speed so you can be able to play along with it at full tempo.
So I've got my YouTube page loaded up, a little bit of Led Zeppelin. There's Jimmy Page with a nice Les Paul. And then if I just go down to here, and then take my mouse, and if I go to the part marked settings, click in there, go up to the section marked playback speed, set to normal as default, so that's full speed when you press play. But then if I go into it, you can see you've got all these different options that will let you either speed up the track to double the speed of it, or more importantly, you can go down to these three options here, which is going to slow it down. If you want it to go to even slower rates, or if you want to maybe go up a little bit more as opposed to going up a quarter at a time, you just go into custom, and then you can adjust it down there. And then that way you can start building up the speed of the part that you're working on to full speed, and you'll see that you're actually making gains as opposed to just having to try and play it full 100% straight away. And that's the tip of the day.
Hi, my name is Sophie and I learn piano at the Rhythm Box. Today I wrote my own song and Jenny helped me write it. And my tip is to write your own music so you can learn your notes and your beats.
Hi, my name is Ewan Mackay and welcome to a new series of videos I'm producing on quick tips for MuseScore. In this video, I'll tell you a little bit about what MuseScore is while we're actually downloading the program. So join me on musescore.org and head over to the free download button here. Press that button and it'll take a few seconds to download MuseScore to your system. MuseScore is available on Windows, Mac and Linux. I'll be using Mac for this example. But what is MuseScore? MuseScore is a fantastic free and open source music notation program, quite similar to the big three Sibelius, Finale and Dorico. However, it doesn't carry that expensive license fee that the other big three do. So if you're a music enthusiast who's just wanting to input some notes that you've scribbled down, or you're a music student who you have to take composition module as part of your music exams, for example, this is a great free alternative, and it is community based, which means that the people that use MuseScore actually help to create it as an open source program. Therefore, the support network that's in place between the creators, the users and enthusiasts is just fantastic. So you're never stuck for any support that you might run into when you're using a new program such as MuseScore. So I've actually downloaded and installed MuseScore on my system already, so I'll open it, and it just takes a few minutes to install it to your system, just like installing any other program. When you open MuseScore for the first time, you probably won't have any scores saved, but I've been using it for some time and I have some scores that are already saved. We want to go to the Create a New Score button, and that opens up the New Score wizard, and that is where we're going to leave it for this video. Come back in the next one where we actually create our first score, and I will show you some of the instrumental choices that you can make and various different things that go along with creating a new score. That is a very simple process, but I look forward to walking you through that in the next video. Cheers!
Hi, my name is Paul and I do piano at the Rhythm Box. I just passed my grade 3 classical exam this year and I'm now doing grade 3 jazz piano. My tip would be to try new genres of music.
Hello, today's tip of the day is based towards anyone who listens to music through a streaming service such as Spotify or Apple Music or even YouTube. The problem is, whenever you use any of these streaming platforms, the quality of the song isn't very good. It's very tinny, it's very weak, it can sound fragile, and that's down to a couple of things such as the compression rate and also the kilobits per second of each track that you're listening to. Now by default, these programs all have them set to a low quality. I mean, that's due to the data that these songs take up when you stream them, or also the space that's on your phone or your iPad, wherever you're saving the song to. So every time you listen to a song, it's set to an automatic quality, which is often very low. It's often at about 128 kilobits per second. Compare that to an audio CD track, which is up at about 1400 kilobits per second. You can see there's a lot of frequencies that's been taken out just because the sheer volume and size of kilobits have to be taken out to get it down to a compressor rate so that you can listen to it. Luckily enough, we can actually adjust the kilobit per second quality in the settings section of each of these streaming platforms, apart from Apple Music, that they've just got their own standard default setting. But for Spotify and Tidal and Deezer, etc., they all let you do it, and this is how you adjust it in the most commonly used platform, which is Spotify.
So that's me got my Spotify app opened up on my desktop, and if I just zoom in here, if I go up to Spotify menu, go down to preference, and then I want to go down to music quality. You can see here it says streaming quality, set to automatic. So automatic is going to be 128 kilobits per second, because when Spotify stream the music to you, they send it just to the normal person who would listen to music. They don't really send it to people who would want to have the music of high quality. So you go down there and you can see you've got all the different levels of kilobits per second. So you've got low, which is 96 kilobits per second. And that's going to sound really weak and thin. There'll be no bass. It'll just sound really trebly, not very nice at all. But that takes up the least amount of space on your desktop or on your phone or whatever, so you can see why people would use that. But normally you want to set it to very high. Very high would be 320 kilobits per second. Spotify or Apple Music wouldn't do any higher than that, because the quality will be really good for that, but you can tell it's not going to be nowhere near CD quality, which, as I said before, is about 1400 kilobits per second. If you go to use Tidal, I think it is, they're the ones that have really high compression and kilobit ratings, so if you really want to get top quality music, you could use them, but I think they're more expensive and the songs would take up a lot more space. But that's how you change the music quality in Spotify on a desktop. It'll be the same principle if you did it on your phone or your iPad. Just try and find the preferences and go and change the music quality, but then it's going to take up a lot more space. So it's the trade-off, isn't it? Anyway, hope that helps.
I'm Cameron, and here's my tip with guitar. Guitar can be pretty rough when you first start, or any instrument really, but once you start learning your favorite songs and the music that you like, you can really start to love it and get hooked on it, because you just keep on playing the music that you enjoy yourself. So that's basically it.
Hi, I'm Kirsty and I play piano at the Rhythm Box. My tip is to play a little bit every day instead of all in one session.
Hello, Ciaran Mackay here and welcome back to this second video in our Quick Tips for MuseScore series. Where we left off, we downloaded MuseScore from musescore.org. We're now sitting here in the MuseScore wizard and we're about to create our first demo score. So here in the MuseScore wizard you have some score information like title, subtitle, composer, copyright, etc. So for the purposes of this, I'll just call this demo score. You can click continue or press enter and this brings you to a choose a template file. Now you'll notice there's various different bold headings here or menus. By default, choose instruments is selected and that's just a blank template that we'll come to in a second, but you do have options to select from pre-made templates here such as soprano, alto, tenor, bass, or chamber music like string quartets, brass quintets, etc, etc, and the list goes on. It's really quite extensive. Classical orchestra, symphonic orchestra, you can see the difference in size from the different instrumental forces there. So you can jump into a preset template and get writing straight away, or by default you can go ahead and click continue on the choose instruments, and this brings you to the instruments panel where you can actually begin to add instruments to your score. And this is quite interesting because by default common is the default menu that's open here, but you actually, if you click this, have a choice to open up all instruments, or you can niche it down to pop, rock, jazz, choral, and there's various different menus that you can go into here. But let's just jump into woodwind and we'll add a flute to our score. You can add and remove instruments by pressing the add remove button. We'll add an oboe and we'll add a bassoon. And you can actually move instruments up or down on the score by pressing the up or down arrows here. It's quite simple and intuitive, and again you add remove buttons by pressing the add remove buttons. So let's just go for a solo flute for this example and click continue, and then you can add in your key signature here. We'll just click continue. Time signature, we'll just keep it with 4/4. 32 bars is the standard, but let's just go for 4 bars for this example here. You can set your tempo, let's just go with 70 beats per minute, and then click done, and this opens up the tab that you're actually going to be working in for your score within MuseScore. So join me in the next video when we talk about note input, and we'll actually create a little 4-bar melody, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next video.
Hello. Today's tip of the day is based towards guitar players who would like to play songs by bands that use 7-string guitars, such as Limp Bizkit, Korn, or Meshuggah. Naturally, to be able to play these songs you'll need a 7-string guitar, but if you don't have one, you can actually retune your 6-string guitar to act like a 7. The most important string on a 7-string guitar is indeed the 7th string, which is tuned to the low B note. So if we can incorporate that into the 6-string guitar, then we'll be able to play the songs. Here's how you do it. You take your 6th string and you tune it from E down to B. That's the 7th string that we need. We then go down to the 5th string, it's tuned to A, we then need to take it down to E. Then go down to the 4th string, it's tuned to D, standard, take it down to A. We then go to the 3rd string, it's tuned to G, it then becomes D. We then go to the 2nd string, it's normally tuned to B, it goes down to G. And then we go to the 1st string, which is tuned to E, it then goes down to B. When you've got all this in place, you're going to be able to get that low 7-string sound. But you can hear that the strings are a little bit floppy sounding. So what normally people do is they'll go up and get a higher gauge of string. So just now I'm using size 10s on this guitar, but if I wanted to keep this in 7-string tuning, I would then maybe go up to 12s or 13s. That way the string will stay under tension and it'll still keep this tuning note that we need for the 7th string.
I'm Ewan, I play guitar. My top tip is to learn how to tune your instrument and how to keep it in tune.
I'm Jack, I play the guitar, and my tip to get better at guitar is to use alternate picking, which is picking up and down to gain speed while playing.
today's tip of the day is based towards musicians who play an instrument. One of the biggest areas I see pupils struggle with is their ability to find and implement any natural or accidental notes, i.e. sharps or flats. When you can't find any of these notes, you're going to find it hard to implement music theory or read sheet music off of the page accurately and quickly. Because you don't know where the notes are, you'll just be following a series of numbers as in tablature. So the first thing that you should be thinking of is trying to find all your natural notes. A, B, C, D, E, F and G. Then after that you can think about implementing your sharps or flats. So I'll just play all the A notes. So that was me just playing all the natural A notes. Now I can do that for every note on the guitar, whether it's sharps, flats or naturals, because I've spent many years working over it. So then when I come to implementing music theory, so if I play an A major chord for example, I know that if I adjust the C sharp note down to a C note, that'll give me an A minor. I know that in theory, but on the guitar I know that my C sharp is being played by my second finger. If I take off that second finger and have it being played by the first finger, I'm going from C sharp to C. So there's my minor note. So if I play all the notes again, I'm playing an A minor chord. So once you can find all your natural notes, you'll be able to then adapt that to sharps and flats, and then you'll be able to make and understand and use music theory more accurately and quickly, and it's the same with your sheet music as well.
Today's tip is great if you've got a little one, a young child who's really interested in music, because it's all about making music quickly using technology. So here we go. So basically this is a beat maker, and there are loads of versions of this. It doesn't need to be this one. This one's called Splice, but there are all sorts of different ones all over the internet for you to use. But essentially you can just turn different parts on, and then you can select whole sections. And on this one you can also change the speed, so you can make it slower. And basically it's just a great way to engage kids with trying something different and getting to interact with something that will make music really quickly. So give it a go. There's loads of different ones to choose from, and it's a great way to play together.
Hello and welcome to this MuseScore Quick Tip. This is MuseScore Quick Tip 3 in this little series. This one focuses on note input, so it's a very simple process to input notes in MuseScore. Simply come up to the note input button here and select it. It will automatically select the first beat of the first bar for you. You can toggle this on or off by pressing the N key, and then if you come down over this highlighted section, you see your note pop up and you can just simply type it in. It's as simple as that. And say that we wanted to change the duration of a note. How do we go about doing that? You go up to the note duration panel here, select a minim for example, and you just drop that in. Creating chords is another great thing that you can do in MuseScore. Very simple. again, you can just go into the duration and you can just put your note either above or below the note on the stave, and you can find it here and you can start to create chords in MuseScore. Another great thing that you can do in MuseScore is you can have multiple voices on a line. So for example, if we jump this up an octave, and we can begin to add a second voice. So let's go up here to the voices panel, and we'll actually add another voice in here, and you'll see that that second voice sits there on the stave. Now you wouldn't do this with a flute, but I'm just giving you a little example as to how you could actually create second voicings in MuseScore, and it's a very simple process. So if you give me a few seconds, I'll speed this up as I finish this 4-bar melody, and I'll come back. Okay, so I've finished our little 4-bar melody here. I hope that you've enjoyed this little example of the basics of note input, and I look forward to speaking to you in the next video when we talk about the palette system and we begin to dig into the various different things that the palette system can do, such as dropping in elements and dynamics, hairpins, and all of these different things that we can put into our score that isn't just notes alone. So I look forward to speaking to you in the next video. Cheers!
Today's tip is aimed towards students who are working on a song using sheet music. Doesn't matter what your chosen instrument is, it's still the same principle across the board that I'm going to speak about. What I see a lot of in pupils is when they get given the sheet music, they come back the week after and they try and demonstrate everything that's present in the sheet music, such as technique, nuance, rhythm. When that happens, often enough, the actual fundamental of the song suffers, which is the notes. The notes need to be in the right place, obviously, but to start with, you don't want to add in all the technical side of things or the nuances. You want to make sure that the notes are present, and you want to make sure that you can remember these notes, because what you're doing is you're using these notes as the fundamental of the song, and you're building on top of it. That's where all your technique and nuance goes. They go on top of the notes. So you have to make sure that the notes are present in the first place. For example, I'll demonstrate using For the Love of God by Steve Vai. Right, so the intro, you don't want to try and do everything in one go, such as the slides, the vibrato, etc. You want to get the notes in place first. So this is the note on their own. You can hear the main melody there, but I'm making sure that the notes are actually in place to start with. I'm not thinking about technique or nuance. I'm making sure that the notes are solid so that I can then build on top of it. So for example, I will now add in the techniques that Steve uses, which are slides and vibrato. Like so. When you put all that together, you're getting the sound of the track. But like I say, you're building the layers of it. You're making sure that the notes are in place. Then you're adding in the technical side in the nuance, such as slides, vibrato. If you try and do everything in one go, it'll just fall to bits. So yeah, make sure that you break it down into the notes to start with, because they're the most important thing. If you don't get the notes where they need to be, there's no point adding in technique or indeed any nuance. Get the notes in place and then add in your technique, then stick it all together, and that'll make a much more better sounding track that you're working on. Hope that works for you, and I'll see you guys next time.
Hello everyone, today's tip is about learning new things. And one of the best ways that you can learn new things is to listen to some podcasts. And podcasts right now are a really hot topic, but there's loads of music ones that you can get involved with to understand more why you're learning certain pieces of theory or why certain things that you're being told are important to your practice routine. Here are a few that you can check out now. Now, in its second series, the Evelyn Glennie podcast features a relaxed, laid-back conversation between Evelyn Glennie and some other musicians about what it really means to listen and how music has influenced their lives. If you want to explore what goes into making music at production level, try the Music Production Podcast. Yolanda Brown is a jazz musician who also works in kids' television in terms of music. If you're interested in learning more about her, you can also hear her interview on the Evelyn Glennie podcast. Interested in an interview with the band that made your favourite song and how that song came about? Then Song Exploder is the podcast for you. Perhaps you're looking to find some new music to integrate into your library. If that's the case, Desert Island Discs is the way to go. Maybe with some of the guest suggestions you'll discover a song you didn't know exists. For light entertainment, why not listen to Song vs. Song? Two songs, fairly similar, from the same era, but really which is better after all? Or you could listen to our podcast, Finding Rhythm, where I'll be talking to some musicians about what influenced them to start playing music, how it's affected their lives, and why music is so important. Maybe their journey can inspire yours. I remember playing a concert once and I was playing timpani and a friend of mine was playing drum kit for a concert band performance. And the mechanics of his bass pedal all fell to bits as he was playing. So the spring that holds the beater to get off the drum, and that spring all just came to bits, and the pedal just went flat. And it's like if the spring on your accelerator went flat, it just dropped to the floor and it's gone. Listen along as I chat with some inspiring musicians in the hope that their journey can inspire yours. Only on the Finding Rhythm podcast from the Rhythm Box. Hello everyone. Today's tip is all about finding new music. The best way that you can keep inspired about your own music journey is to find some new music to engage you in playing new things. And there are a few different ways that you can do this. And here is our countdown. Find a friend or two to make a collaborative playlist with. This is a great way of them adding songs that they like into a playlist that you're already listening to, so that right in the middle of all the stuff you like, a new song can creep in, and after you've heard it a couple of times, maybe you'll love it. Most streaming services will offer a similar artists tab underneath what you're listening to, or a radio station that you can use to find things that sound like the things you already like. Most streaming services will also curate playlists for you of things they think you'll like based on what you've listened to. And they won't always be right, but it's definitely worth a listen if you're bored of what you're listening to. Look back as well as forward. Chances are, if there's a band you like, they've been influenced by another band that already exists. And if you look further back through the years, instead of waiting for new music to come out, you might find a hidden gem you had no idea existed. Get on the social media and find out who your favourite artist follows, because the likelihood is that if they like something, you'll probably like it too. There's bound to be a whole list of artists that they follow on their social media platforms, so get on there. Read an interview or two. It's pretty likely that your favourite band at some point has listed out why they make music, who influenced them to make music, and where they learned to create that sound that you really like. And the chances are there'll be this whole great list of new artists that you can add to your library. Last but certainly not least, stop relying on the radio and the TV, because that chart music stuff, well, you've probably heard it over and over and over, and you're never going to find something you really, really, truly love listening to the same pop stuff that goes round and round. And there's nothing wrong with pop, but there's probably some artist you've never heard of that's making some better pop that you would prefer. There really is nothing more satisfying than stumbling across a band that you never knew existed and then can't stop listening to. And let's be fair, there is a little bit of a smug kudos about finding a band that nobody else knows. So get out there and find some new music to listen to. It's bound to influence your playing. Oh, and there's one final way that you can find some new music. Share a band in the comments below that you don't think someone will have heard of, and let's see what we can generate. Let's swap some music between us.
Hello and welcome back to the fourth video in our MuseScore Quick Tips series. In the last video I created a short 4-bar melody, and in this video we'll talk about the palette system and how to use it in MuseScore. So by default the palette system will probably be hidden from view, but how you access the palette system is function F9, and that will show and hide the palette system here on the left hand side of the screen. You'll see various different palettes which are all categorized. So for example here we've got accidentals, and if you click on that you can actually see a list of accidentals here, and you can click on a note and you can add an accidental to that note. It's very simple. The other thing that you can do is you can take an accidental and you can just drag it and put the cursor over the note and let it go, and it will add to that note. So it's a very simple thing to do. What you can do here is you can click the More button and it will give you an expanded view of things that are inside of that palette. So here we've got a ton more options that we could do, and you can actually pull one of these options into here, and you can add this to your accidental palette, and you can take away something by clicking on it and pressing the remove element there. If you click on add palettes here, you can actually see that you can create your own custom palette, and that is effectively just as I've described. You can add any element that you want into your custom palette. This could be really handy if you use various different elements such as time signatures or key signatures or whatever the case may be in a piece, and you use it more often than others. You can create your own custom palette and begin to build it out by using various different elements and putting that into your custom palette. If you press the Z key, it brings up the master palette, and that has basically every single element that you could possibly think of within MuseScore. It really has everything. It's huge here. Look for example at the size of the symbols category alone. It's huge. So you have the master palette system, so you're really not lost for finding anything in MuseScore. So I thought what we might actually do is talk about fleshing out this little melody a little bit and adding some things like dynamics and hairpins and various different things. So let's just do that then. Let's say that what we wanted to do is we could have a dynamic marking here on this first C. Now how do you actually bring up dynamics? Well, you go Command E on a Mac, Control E on a Windows. I'll just go with Command for this on a Mac, and then you go Shift Command and you would actually type in the letters of that dynamic. So MP for mezzo piano, and then you click Escape, and there's your dynamic on that first C. You can also put in things like slurs in here by clicking on a note and pressing the S key, and it will create a slur for you. You can use these handles here and you can begin to shape your slur. Say for example we wanted the slur here which ends here on this E. Say we wanted to extend that slur to the minim G in the second bar. Well, you can just go like this and pull it over, and it's a very simple and intuitive system. Say for example you wanted something like a hairpin, which could be a crescendo here in this bar. Well, what do you do with that then? You go to the palette system again, and we can go to lines. If you go down to lines here, it's all a little bit messy because these categories will stay open, so it can get messy quite quickly. And then here's our crescendo hairpin, and you can just add that in. And then let's say that we wanted to have like a little decrescendo there, and then we'll go Command E again, and we'll go Shift Command and do a piano dynamic there. And it's as simple as that. It's very quick to flesh out a piece by using the palette system here. So I hope that you've enjoyed this little delve into the palette system.
Hello everyone, it is Christmas Eve, so today is our last tip, and this one is all about having fun. The best thing you can do to improve your own music technique is to play with others, because that's the whole point anyway, right? We learn music because we want to play music. So keep an eye out for what we are running in the new term once the rules and regulations have settled and we can see what we can do in terms of playing in groups. But in the meantime, strike up a Zoom call with someone you know and play some music, or have a jam in your bubble over Christmas. That's the best way you can improve your skills, is to learn from others. Good luck! Merry Christmas and happy holidays from everyone here at the Rhythm Box. Thank you so much for watching our Advent countdown and all the tips, tricks, pupils and staff that have been involved in that. As you can imagine, it has been an unusual year for everyone, us included. So hopefully we're on to a better year next year and we will see you in the new term. Merry Christmas!